Built for More podcast, Denny Thompson, Pastor Joby Martin. Got an offensive lineman today.
My favorite.
Yeah. I'm getting tired of the quarterbacks anyway. Give us some O-lineman. Ike Bucker. What's going on, Ike? How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. How about you guys?
I don't think we could be any better.
Living the dream.
Yeah, man. Perfect. Football season is right around the corner. It's weird to say that in late June, but it is. Football season never ends these days, though.
For y'all.
Yeah, well, I don't think for anybody.
You guys are in it. For us, it's like the longest part of the year.
Is it?
Oh, my. Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. Is it really?
All my Instagram is how many days until Georgia kickoff. And then every reel is a touchdown of that many yards. You know what I mean? Like 68. Then it'll be like Brock Purdy goes 68 yards. That's it.
Yeah, it just when you're in it, it just seems like one endless thing. I'm sure playing though, like that, it's the difference because you're not banging on somebody every single day.
Yeah, my body is very thankful for a little time off. I've had like about a year off, and I haven't felt this good since high school, so I feel excellent right now.
Well, we obviously are going to get into your story, but I had to hit this right away. I saw this when I was doing some research on him. My man played quarterback as a junior in high school.
Let's go.
Yes. 9 tutties and 1 interception. A little 9-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio as a quarterback and junior in high school. Let's go. And you throw 9 touchdowns in Iowa where they run the ball. You're doing some stuff.
Well, what did you do? I don't see a lot of zone read coming out of that. What were you doing?
A lot of handoffs. A lot of play action.
Did you keep the ball, though? I mean, come on. I feel like you're a goal line threat.
Yeah, I would take off and run if the first read wasn't there every time.
What were you then, though? What was your height, weight then?
I was 6'5", probably 220, 225.
That's a big quarterback as a junior in high school.
It's amazing what the NFL can turn that into, though. Or I guess college, but like I think of Josh Wells.
Yeah.
Do you know Josh?
Oh, yeah, Josh is the man.
Josh is great. Also, high school quarterback, NFL lineman.
Well, we talked about this with him, I think. Like, how many NFL linemen actually, the plan when they first started playing football was to be a lineman?
Very few. It's more the athletic big guys that aren't, there's only one quarterback. There's 5 linemen. You got a much better chance of getting on the field if you can play O-line.
It was also funny. I laughed about this a lot. I know Josh really well. Josh said, I was an unathletic quarterback. I became a tight end, and I was a little less than athletic. Then I became a defensive end, and I was semi-athletic. Then I became a lineman, and I was a very athletic lineman. It's so great.
You kind of had the same path, though, because you played tight end your senior year of high school, correct?
Yeah, so I got a scholarship offer going into my senior year, just going to an Iowa camp to mess around and try to learn something about playing quarterback. And they were like, hey, you look big. You want to try tight end out today? And I didn't have my pads, so I just ran routes, and they said, come back in a couple days, bring your pads. They offered me a scholarship, and I committed, that week. Otherwise, I was probably going to play basketball in college.
So you went to Iowa under the assumption you were going to play tight end?
No, I went to the camp just to learn something about quarterback because I kind of got thrust into playing quarterback my sophomore year because our quarterback broke his collarbone in the summer. So I was tight end originally, moved to quarterback, got a scholarship, went back to tight end. And then going into my senior year, I'm like, I want to get ready to play at Iowa. So let me play tight end and D end. And then I went to Iowa. Halfway through the first year, we had like 15 first-round picks in the tight end room, so they moved me to tackle.
Wow. 6'6", like, what are you, 6'6", 315, 320 now?
Yeah, I'm like 320, 325.
Wow. So, I mean, but that's got to be – so you go to Iowa. I mean, I'm just thinking through this from a quarterback perspective.
Yeah.
If you go to Iowa, I'm going to go to this camp as a quarterback, get some advice. And they're like, here's my advice, move to tight end. And then you get there and it's like, we're going to give you one more piece of advice. We're going to bump you down a little bit more and take you to what were you there? Guard, tackle early?
I was tackle at Iowa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How did you take that?
I mean, I remember meeting with Brandon Sheriff kind of took me under his wing my freshman year. And I met with the coaches. I went down to the locker room. I talked to some of the older guys. And they were like, you got to move. If they tell you to move, they know what they're doing. Coach Doyle was the strength coach then. and it wasn't their first rodeo, moving guys to offensive line. So I lived with Sheriff then after my freshman year that summer, and we would eat T-bone steaks for dinner, T-bone steaks for snack, protein smoothies. I mean, it was insane. I put on, I think 60, 65 pounds that first year.
Wow.
Well, first of all, shout out to Sheriff. What a great dude, man. Altogether great dude. Great family. Great. Well, I mean, what a great guy. Yeah.
What is the calorie consumption of an average NFL lineman? Just to maintain, as hard as you, like if you're in camp and you're trying to maintain weight, does anybody maintain weight in camp first off?
Oh, you just got to ramp up to it. You got to be ready for what camp is. I always do. It's just about hydration at the end of the day. The strength stuff, you're still lifting. I'd say 6,000-7,000 calories during camp every day is a reasonable goal to set.
I feel like I could do that.
Well, maybe. All calories are not the same.
Right.
Yeah, most people don't realize that, especially the big linemen, man, the hard thing is keeping their weight up, not the other way around. It's the opposite of the rest of us on the board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, we've talked about this before. When I go to the combine, I just find myself just enthralled with how big these guys are and how powerful and how well they move. The defensive tackle from Florida this year, I think it's Desmond Watson, that was like 430 pounds or something like that. I mean, to watch that guy run, and when you realize how much power he's producing to push that much weight, it's actually insane.
Best athletes on the field.
I agree. I agree.
And guys can tell, right? I mean, you can tell if you're 7 pounds down, it's just different at trying to play tackle in the NFL. Like you need every pound.
Yeah, 100%. It's those guys playing D-line aren't small and they're not weak. So you got to keep your weight up to be able to handle the bull rush.
I want to get into your story, but I do want to ask too, like playing an NFL game as a lineman, just talk about the actual like physicalness of that. How, like, is it what everybody, it's just trench warfare almost, right? Like you just have to hype yourself up to go for 70 something plays and running into somebody every single play.
Yeah, I would say that transition for me, because I've really only started games in the NFL at guard and only tackle in college, really. So the physicality difference just sliding inside is pretty intense because you're kind of the tip of the spear on all double teams. And the tackle or the center is kind of meeting up with you. So you're taking that initial contact, I'd say, for sure over half the time. And I remember getting done with my first preseason game as a rookie, and I'm like, my goodness, I feel horrible.
What are some dudes' names that brought it a little more than others?
I mean, the guy that is the most physical that I played in his prime was Cam Hayward from Pittsburgh, and he is just so strong and so powerful. And he plays, most D linemen, they rotate, and he'll play the whole game. So you're not getting a break. Like, you're not getting his back up. He wants to go all game, and he's a high motor guy, and he's built, like a brick house. So I'd say he was the most physical guy. But, I mean, Chris Jones is just a freak athlete, so long, powerful. All of them are good. DeForest Buckner. I mean, there's not three techniques in the NFL are pretty insane, all of them.
Yeah, and if they win one play in 10, you're terrible, right? I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have more rules against you than they have against them. Very rarely do you see defensive holding called.
Right.
Yeah, how often does that actually happen, though?
I mean, maybe you'll get one a season.
That's actually called or that should be called?
Oh, that should be called. It kind of depends on defensive scheme, but they're going to actually call it once or twice a season, and it probably happens once or twice a game.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of undrafted guys on this podcast, right? Here's another one. Can you kind of talk about your story from you go from Iowa, you change positions like we just talked about, draft comes up. Did you expect to be drafted, or were you kind of under the assumption that you were going to be an undrafted free agent?
After my junior year, I was definitely expecting to get drafted, decided to come back because I wasn't going to be like a first or second round pick, and blew my Achilles out in the third game of the season. So after that happened, I knew, basically right then that I was going to be an undrafted guy because pro day was only like 6 months out from that. So I was able to put enough movement, I guess, together at pro day to show that I was going to be healthy by the season. So then I had, 5-6 teams offer to pick me up as a free agent, and went to Buffalo because my agent knew the O-line coach there and was kind of expected to ramp me up instead of just throwing me into the fire right away because I still wasn't even, a year out from that injury. So that was kind of my journey from college into the NFL.
And so you signed with Buffalo,
Yep.
right? 18, and then in 2018 went to Kansas City and then back to Buffalo for a while.
Yeah, so I got released. That's my welcome to the NFL moment. Got released right after training camp. There's that 24-hour window where you're on waivers. So Kansas City claimed me, flew to Kansas City, was there for a week. We went out and played the Chargers when they were still in San Diego. Flew back. They released me early that next week to try to do the same thing, to try to put me on their practice squad. And I was on my way to the facility to do that, and Buffalo claimed me back to their roster. As I was driving to the facility to Kansas City, I fly back to Buffalo that day, and we played the Chargers again. So I played the Chargers 2 weeks in a row.
And then you were there for what, 5 years, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I was there for 5 years.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And I guess we should give this warning. If all of a sudden Ike just has to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my man's expecting a baby. Like
any minute, right? Like you're on the clock?
I mean, her appointment, she was a little discouraged that she wasn't making much progress. So it's looking like probably Friday or Saturday this week.
What's your wife's name?
Katie.
Katie. All right. We'll be praying for Katie. And your third baby?
Yeah. It's a surprise. We don't know.
Oh, you don't know what you're having?
No.
Did
got
you
a boy
know
and
the
a
first
girl.
two?
Yeah, we found out the first two, but now we got one of each. So excited for a little surprise.
Did y'all do that or did you know?
No. Have you met my wife?
Yeah, but I mean,
bro, she has to know everything that might happen in advance for the, we had the pillows had to match the curtains and had the name embroidered.
yeah,
she's highly detailed.
We were the same way. We found out with both of ours, but I wonder if I think I would have gone the same way as Ike. If I would have had a third, I've only got two, and I had a boy and a girl, I think I would have liked to have been surprised.
Yeah, I'd like to be married. So
was that your decision or hers?
I leave that all up to mom.
Well done, young man. Well done. Some of the best advice ever spoken on the Built for More podcast.
So you have a basketball background as well, right? So athleticism wise,
but that's common, right? Aren't a lot of linemen? Don't they? It comes down to footwork, right? Like basketball players have great footwork down low, and the big boys.
I think basketball or wrestling, you got to have one of the other to be successful.
And you're from Iowa, so you played the secondary sport in Iowa, huh?
I did. Yeah. I did.
Were you who was your quarterback at Iowa when you were there?
I had Jake Rudock to start, and then CJ Beathard for most of my playing career, and then Nate Stanley my last year.
Okay. Yeah,
Beathard.
CJ's awesome.
We just get him on here.
I know. CJ's awesome.
He's
man.
great.
Spent a lot of time here in Jacksonville. And then I think were you in Buffalo with Nate Peterman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I see we got Built for More all over this right now.
Let's go.
So quarterback, tight end, basketball player, offensive lineman, like that's the level of athlete that we're talking about here.
Correct.
Right? I mean, I think we think offensive linemen, we think these massive human beings, but like we said earlier, incredible athletes. And of course, when you go to Iowa, like that's where everybody goes, right? That's where the linemen go. And then I saw your senior year, you got into a competition with a future first-round pick, right? Was that when Tristan Wirfs came in?
Yeah, Wirfs, after I got hurt, he played the rest of that season.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
It turned out pretty good for him.
I mean, he's the same size now that he was when he was 18. He's the biggest freak I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Hall of Famer for sure, and just an awesome dude. Works his butt off. So fun to be around. I love that guy.
What is it about? Because we got good football down here, right? But what is it about Iowa, Wisconsin? Why do I understand all the linemen grow up there, but why do they all stay there? Why are those programs always loaded at offensive line when it seems like, across the country, everybody's looking for more linemen?
It's a great question. Like Wirfs, I mean, he lived right down the road from Iowa City. Sheriff. Those guys get Iowa offers, and they're like, why the heck would I go anywhere else? I can drive home for the holidays. You're going to get the best strength. You're going to get Coach Ferentz, who's an O-line wizard. I had Brian Ferentz as my O-line coach. It's kind of like, why would you go anywhere else? They don't like too hot of weather. I mean, I don't. So they're not going to go south. I'd say those are a few of the main reasons.
When you're an offensive lineman coming out of high school, it's a very technical position, right? So
Yeah.
I guess that offensive line coach at the next level is a huge deal when it comes to where you're going to go. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, and the older guys in the room. Like I've already mentioned Sheriff, but there's a guy named Brett Van Sloten, Andrew Denal, all the older guys. When I switched, it was just kind of like what you did at Iowa. You just bring those younger guys along, try to leave the jersey in a better place is what we would always say. So help those younger guys when they're, and then when I got older, I tried to do the same thing, whether it's on the field, off the field stuff. So the culture there is unbelievable.
Now, do you have any problems with Iowa, Joby?
I love Iowa. I went to a
Okay.
wrestling camp there when I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Joby's not scared. He's told a Titan player he hates the Titans.
I
He's
do.
mentioned
I
he
hate
hates Notre Dame. Like we
Hate it.
have to remind him that sometimes there's football outside of Georgia and the SEC.
Well,
I don't mess with wrestlers.
that was a long time ago. Well, I didn't mess with too many Iowa wrestlers. It was a different game, dude. I was in South Carolina, and as long as I stayed in the Southeast, I was fine, dude. You go west, it's not like while we were playing T-ball and could go outside, they couldn't. They were stuck in a gym, killing each other on mats from 5 years old on.
They sell those wrestling matches out at Iowa, right?
Oh my gosh, and Penn State and all that. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you go to the NFL and just talk about, because now you're 4 or 5 years into this offensive lineman journey. We mentioned the Bills to the Chiefs to the Bills, and then you settle in there. And then a quarterback named Josh Allen comes around. Talk about just your experience in Buffalo. We all know the fans in Buffalo are amazing. There's been a lot of success there. And then when I was doing research, I saw that your family had a great relationship with the Allen family. As well. So can you just talk about that relationship and when you knew Josh Allen was going to be that kind of player?
Yeah. So coming in that 17-18 time, that was the same time Josh came in. So we were in the same class, and we actually played against each other in college because Wyoming that was the last game I played actually, was healthy at Iowa. So had a little bit of a relationship. I was able to talk a little smack to him early. And just he's exactly same personality as a lineman, except he can throw the football like 100 yards and run like a 4.5. So he's just the best human ever. And when we got to Buffalo, the fans had been through a lot rough. The year before, they went to the playoffs, but then they got rid of like that whole team and kind of started to rebuild. So that was, I got in kind of at the ground floor, and it was a lot of fun just to help build the locker room, the chemistry. And then you see Josh just come into his own really in that third year. And that's kind of when I starting as well. So that's when we went to the AFC Championship, and there was just the energy in the town and the city. And basically after that, I don't think Josh has left his house there in Buffalo because it's just gotten out of control for him. He's, top 5 superstar in the NFL, and he's earned every bit of it. But if you know him and you know the kind of guy he is, hasn't gotten to his head, and he's just an awesome down to earth farm boy from California. So that's who he is. And when you got a leader like that, it's pretty easy to win. And I had, like you said, I had CJ at Iowa. So 2 of the best ever to be around.
I think these small market teams, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Green Bay, like when they're good, man, and you can feel that energy just all the way through the city, there's nothing like that. I mean, I've never lived in a big market, but, there's been enough success here in Jacksonville sporadically.
Right, yeah. Even 2 years ago, we were, 8-2 going into the Bengals game?
Yeah.
It's on fire, man.
It's just different when it's a small market team. It's just like everybody's wearing the shirt. Everybody's happy. What about Buffalo? Like the Buffalo fans just seem, they seem very serious. Yeah, maybe crazy is the better way to put it.
Yeah, it's so similar to Iowa City, the fans, because Iowa doesn't have a pro team, so I was kind of used to the fans being nuts. But there, it's the religion for a lot of those people, and they love it. They set their clock to I mean, training camp's always packed out in Rochester. The games are packed out. They're out there in their campers with the smoker on Friday night when we leave the facility after practice. They do not mess around, and getting a guy like Josh there and just the teams that the front office has put together there, they're, as long as Josh is healthy and rolling, they're always going to have a chance to win. And then that crowd just gets so loud. It is like having an extra guy out there. It's hard to play there.
They're building a new stadium right now, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Now, is that still going to be outdoors?
Yeah. The design looks crazy.
Is that part of the advantage?
I think so.
You feel like you've got an advantage when the Southern teams come up there and their digits fall off.
We about die when we go to Miami. So.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's Southern compared to Buffalo, right?
Right, that's true.
I mean, it's crazy. Are you like if I go to a Buffalo game, I want to go in December though.
Oh yeah,
I want to feel all the things. I don't know if I'm gonna make it the whole game.
Would you rather play in the cold or the hot?
Oh, the cold.
I'm talking about real cold, like zero cold.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem.
So those early Miami games in the season, they get you.
Horrible.
Or Jacksonville, dude. It's hot here in September.
Yeah. Miami's got this thing, though, where their visitor sideline, I mean, you are like on the sun.
Cooking.
Oh, yeah. The way they built the stadium is right there in your face. It's crazy. See, I'm the opposite. I'd rather hot weather all day long.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, I like cold weather to hunt, so that's all.
Yeah.
Get the deer moving.
I can't do anything if I'm cold. Nothing. I'm a wimp.
Mine's all mental. I don't get cold when I hunt because I need it to be colder because the deer move more and I've got the gear.
Yeah.
But if I'm not, like just a regular cold day, yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. No, I'll pass.
We don't do cold well here in Jacksonville. Were you intimidated like crazy to come to the bank and face the mighty, mighty Jaguars?
Peek up at the pool. I think we lost, actually.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to play there because it's hot and it's just a weird energy in there. It's a weird energy.
What does that mean? Tell me more about that.
I don't know. It's just you come from Buffalo and it's more like a leisurely activity down there.
Yeah.
So it's just a different vibe.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it can be embarrassing too. It kind of, like you said, depends on when you catch the Jags. If you catch them on fire, it's packed and people are good and crazy. And then we lose 3 or 4 in a row and there'll be more Bills fans than Jags fans.
Yeah, that's how it was when we were there, but we still lost. So
but people like to come here because it's the beach and it's warm and, you might get a win.
Take you a vacation from Buffalo to Jacksonville in December, yeah.
As a season ticket holder, it is embarrassing.
You still season ticket holder?
Of course.
Are you?
I'm a hometown guy. Let's go. Go Jags.
Let's go.
When we finally get to the Super Bowl, I'm going to be like, told y'all, I've been here for a long time, since 2003.
The NFL, obviously, man, is a whole different beast. And we've been talking a lot about the last few weeks, just about the number of athletes these days that are just talking about their faith. Did you find yourself in locker rooms like that? Did you find yourself in locker rooms where your faith was openly talked about and Jesus was openly talked about?
Yeah. Even from honestly like 3rd or 4th grade on. I mean, my dad I grew up as a PK, a pastor's kid, but I was on a youth sports team where we had Bible study, in between tournament games, and then progressed there to really nothing at public school. But then into high school, had great youth ministry stuff around sports, and then got into college, had a great guy, Athletes in Action, Jim Goodrich was his name. So we would host Bible study in my dorm and then at our house, and then got to the NFL, and the Bills have a team pastor in-house. So, I mean, he's got an office in the building. He's there every day, Bible study every week, chapel every Saturday. So I would say it was always there. It wasn't always a part of everybody's life like it is becoming now, which gets me pretty fired up, and it's fun because guys are asking more questions. I really think around COVID, things really started opening up. People are like, what the heck's going on? And, just as somebody that the last few years I've gone through a lot physically, mentally, emotionally, and the Lord's just allowed some things to happen to grow that relationship. I'm more open than I've ever been. And I find myself every day having a conversation with somebody about the Lord, and people are just open and excited about it, and it fires me up, and it really gets me out of bed, rearing to go more than anything else, because of just how fired up people then get, and then they start telling people, just the Great Commission and how much that can do, and that's what we're called to do. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. The last year, I've really grown a lot, I think, and taken it more into my own hands instead of always just falling into that being a pastor's kid. I've always been a Christian, but just more out there with it.
Yeah, I also think there's kind of the return of the alpha male. I mean, for a long time, we were told we are the problem. And then it wasn't just COVID. I mean, our world was crazy. It's always been lost, but it went crazy for a little while. And so then I think a bunch of not only people in their teens and 20s are flocking to church right now, but also men have finally seen that you don't have to be soft to be saved. You know what I mean? And there's a bunch of, just some BA dudes out there that love the Lord like crazy. And the Bible says the Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name, and I'm created in his image. And it's not an either or, it's not like I can either be a choir boy or I can play football, but I can be a MMA fighter, a football player, whatever, and love the Lord and lead with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you mentioned the last couple of years. When you say you've kind of gone through it the last couple of years professionally, you want to kind of give us a peek into that?
Yeah, I was, I grinded back from that Achilles in college. I start my fourth year. I'm about a month away from getting my second contract, so everything's lining up like perfect how I would have envisioned it happening. And then I blow my other Achilles out, and then 3 months later I re-rupture it. So I'm basically 6 months without being able to move, because that first 3 months of rehab, you just can't do much. So 6 months, a lot of, muscle atrophy, a lot of imbalances. And then just mentally, like not being able to, like, I know what I need to do and I know how I need to train, but I just physically can't do it. So just that gets super frustrating, obviously. And it would just be one thing after another that I'd, have physically. I just felt like the Lord knew, I always have pushed through things physically, so he wasn't going to get the full surrender that he needed until I was totally broken down, surrendered to him. And I reached that tipping point and kind of just bounced off the bottom. And I've just been going straight up and talking to him more, learning to hear his voice, waking up in the morning, journaling, just spending more time with him. And that's really changed my life. So I know all that needed to happen. I'm extremely thankful that it did the way that it did. Looking back, obviously in the moment, it's not ideal, but you look back at it and I'm a way better husband, dad, friend, son, everything that I aspire to be. And if I would have just played that rookie deal out, gotten that second deal, I wouldn't be, probably sitting here. I might have been, but I wouldn't be just making the kingdom difference, which is really, in my opinion, all that matters.
Yeah, because regardless of how long your career is, it is coming to a halt.
Yeah.
Whether you get 15 years or 5, whatever. But God has always called you to be dad, husband, man. And so that's going to be something for your whole life. And then eternity is what really matters more than anything else,
Yes.
But we've seen, and for certain Ike's seen that go completely the other way with an injury, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we talk about it all the time about your identity. And if your identity is, I'm an offensive lineman, big, strong, tough offensive lineman, can move trucks with ease. And then all of a sudden that Achilles, something is, so little, that's so painful, keeps you from doing anything. And your identity is in that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen that go the other way. And it's an ugly, ugly thing to witness.
Yeah. And that's interesting you say that, because I would never say I found my identity in football. So I was almost, after I re-ruptured it, I was like, Lord, if this is you calling me out of football, like, I'm ready to go do whatever else. But he has just kept me in football training. I didn't play with the team last year, but every time, I ask him or pray about it, I'd say within 12 or 24 hours, it's like he hits me with a mallet. Like, no, you need to stay locked in on football. If that turns into anything this year or not, who knows? But, I've always had that, I guess, open heart, open mind to doing. I want to be in God's will for my life. I do not want to be outside his will for my life, because that's just a very dangerous place to be. Some people think it's safe, maybe taking the safe way. But if you're not in his will for your life, you're going to get run over by that train repeatedly. So I got no interest in that.
So you feel like God's telling you, or your God's plan right now still involves at least training for football?
Yeah. I would say about February this year, there was a 2-3 week period where I was like, I might be done. And had a couple job things pop up, things that I might be interested in. Went and met with some people. Every single one was like, absolutely not. Like, it was definitely not a clear thing that I needed to jump into. Praying with my wife, made some switches with my agent, and it wasn't really that my old agent was bad. It was just like, I want a fresh start. If I'm going to do this again, I'm either going to retire or I'm going to get a fresh start. So got a fresh start. And he's just been showing me physically a couple more things just to get my body in a great position to compete. So I think that it's going to happen. I've had some nibbles through the off season, and I'm just ready to go if the call comes during training camp or that early part of the season.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, hey, what's God's will for my life? And generally speaking, it's the same for everybody. Great Commission, love your neighbor, love your wife as Christ loved the church, make disciples. Okay. Then how do I know specifically? Well, first and foremost, be faithful with whatever's in front of you right now. But ultimately, this does not sound very spiritual. It's just true. You got to just pray, guess, go. That's what you got to do.
Yep.
Because you're trying to do John 2:5, where Mary looks at the servants and says, do whatever he tells you to do. Well, if you're not absolutely clear, he's not going to tell you to do something different than what his word says. But play football, there's not a verse in here that says to or not to play football. So the only thing you can do is pray like crazy and say, Lord, I think this is what you're calling me to do. So I'm going to trust you, and I'm just going to go. And if not, if I went in the wrong direction, then you'll send a big fish to swallow me and spit me out wherever you have me. But what you don't want to do is be laying in your bed when you're 60 going, I wonder if I had one more run in me. There's only one way to find out. I mean, I get it, dude. We felt like God was calling us to plant a church. How do you know? You just got to swing for the fences and go for it. And then say, and pray like crazy. But Lord, I'm not trying to get in front of you. I want to do what you want me to do. So if this ain't it, I'm going to trust you're going to tell me. And then you said you were praying with your wife. I've said this on about 10 of these things. I heard Lou Holt say this. He says, when you got to make a big decision, ask your wife, because nobody loves you like she does, knows you like she does, and is less impressed than she is. So she will give you the real deal. So good on you, bro.
I love that.
Well, imagine listening to Ike talk right there, and he says, I feel like, the Lord wants me to, or it's in his plans for me to play football again.
Right.
So are you training? No. No, I'm not. I'm going to wait to make sure that God's going to allow me to play football again before I start working towards it.
Yeah. Now you sound like church people.
Right. And that's why I asked it that way. It's because, to your point, Joby, like, work is always involved in God's plan. Like, or at least it has been for me.
Well, look at the number of miracles where Jesus requires something of the person, like go wash your face or pick up your mat and walk, or there's always a modicum of like it's from God. It's a one-way love from Him, but we have some responsibility to be faithful with what He's asked us to do.
Yeah.
So let's go. Come to Jacksonville, man. Come on.
Yeah. I love your guys' podcasts and the clips that are getting sent out, and it's so practical and it's so easy. Like, I have the conversations, so easy to understand, but it's just hard to, you gotta build it like any other muscle, your faith muscle. You got to work it. And if you don't work it, you're going to get squashed. And, I was getting squashed for a while thinking that I could just work hard physically and nothing else. Cause that's what, I thought I could do it, but I couldn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'll never be who God wants you to be until you learn to die to yourself. I mean, the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus starts with, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God." So the most dangerous thing, a football guy told me this, Jeff Kopp, who played for the Jags back in the day. He said, first time I ever heard him say it, I think Pete Carroll told him this, the 3 most dangerous words a man can say is, "I got this." Because the beginning of the gospel is, "I ain't got this. Lord, I need your help." Right?
Yeah, it is amazing. The more and more we do these, it is amazing how many just everyday practical things are right in front of us that are biblical that we just do not see.
For sure.
That we just kind of make up our own version of what we feel like it's supposed to be. And maybe football is like the greatest example of that. I mean, everybody sees these massive human beings and just assume that they're massive, and so they just lean on each other, and they don't see how hard you guys work. And we were joking earlier, but how much you have to eat and how often you have to eat, and the injuries and the rehab from the injuries and things like that. It's just not out there for everybody to see in the way that it's out there for the regular person and their struggles. But they're very similar, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I think sometimes, as you're saying that, I was in the gym the other day, and in a previous sermon, I had mentioned, I think I said, I've been a Christian for over 30 years, and I would have thought I would be further along in my sanctification than I am today. I was like, it's crazy to me. The same things that tempted me at 15 tempt me at 51.
Mm-hmm.
Guy in the gym walks up to me. He's like, "You're tempted?" I'm like, "Yeah." Why? He goes, "But you're a pastor." I'm like, "Are you serious?" I mean, Jesus was tempted, right? So temptation is tempting, of course. And he literally, I had to talk to this guy for minutes to convince him I don't have like a special bubble around me. But I think sometimes, like you're talking about, average NFL fan just sees the product on television and think, "Oh, that must be nice that those people are that good."
Yeah, he was born that way.
Yeah, right? Like, "Oh, wow, wish I could do that."
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of times people come to church and they like see a pastor or a worship leader or something, and they think, "Oh, man, I wish I had his walk with the Lord." Okay, well, do the work. Like, it's not like the Lord just sprinkles Jesus dust on me every morning. Just like you, bro, I get up, I spend time in the Word, I try to serve people, I try to stay really tuned into the Spirit of God in my life. I just want to do what He wants me to do. That's it. And so in that, none of us are any different. But somebody further along in their faith journey is like somebody further along in their strength journey.
Mm-hmm.
They've probably put a lot more work into it than you realize. You don't just wake up one day and you're ripped.
Yep.
It takes a lot of work. You don't just wake up one day and you're 330.
Yep.
Like that takes a lot of work. And you don't just wake up one day and can just, quote the scripture and have it ooze out of you.
I think what the guy asked you at the gym, though, is like what everybody wants to ask, but nobody asks. You know what I mean? Like and to your point and to like Ike's saying, like, it doesn't matter how much you practice technique. It doesn't matter how long you're a pastor. Like, you're never going to wake up and it's just easy and perfect.
No way. And if you think you're done, you are, but not in the way if you're like, I made it. No, bro, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about like how your faith is you mentioned that you feel like it's still God's plan, but you had something taken away from you. We've talked about this in this podcast. That's hard to replace. You can't. I mean, it's really, really hard to replace that intensity every day and that drive and that competitive spirit. How has your faith helped you through that?
Just being more present in every day. So enjoying more time with my kids, my wife, and when I'm with them, leaning into them more, relaxing and not stressing. I mean, this latest season in my life, it's almost been like you're going to put the work in. Now you need to learn how to rest and trust that I'm going to take care of the rest, not to worry about it. So once I've kind of grasped that, I've had so much more joy, with my family, spending time with them, waking up in the morning, having breakfast with them when they wake up, going to the pool with them, getting my son out to golf, trying to find some activities to keep him busy because he loves to work. So that last little, I think it was kind of the last little piece that the Lord wanted to teach me before He launches me back into football is rest in Him, knowing that He's going to take care of the stuff that I can't, and I don't need to to waste time or energy thinking about it. So, the faith piece is number one, and it's never been stronger, and I never want to go back to the old version of me. And it wasn't like a bad version. Like, people will say, you're such a nice guy, a good guy. That doesn't get anybody to heaven. And that there's no joy in that. So I just am so thankful for all the lessons and the things that the Lord has allowed to happen to me to teach me this stuff. And
What a
it's
mature
hard
outlook.
to talk to that with somebody that hasn't been through it, but it's almost like if they haven't, I know it's coming for them, in one way or the other. And that's also tough because it's like, God's not doing it to you, but he wants the best for you. And he knows how to get that out of people, or at least give them the opportunity to make that decision.
Well, your guy, Josh Wells, on this podcast said something like, for a little while, I was just satisfied being saved. And then one day I woke up and was like, wait a minute, there's more to the Christian life than just getting to go to heaven when you die. So what am I doing now? And that's what really flipped him to what he's, honestly, it probably extended his NFL career by about 6 more years or something, because he found a different why behind what he was doing. And then even the coaching and the stuff that he's doing now. But for you to learn that, I know you might be like NFL mature, but you're still a young man.
Yeah, 30.
So, yeah, very, like, honestly, like if you were in the corporate world, you'd still be in the junior division. I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, think about what he just said. I mean, it's because
Incredible perspective.
Yeah, it really is, because I think a lot of people would say, "Why, God, do I keep getting injured?"
Right.
Right? He's saying, "Thank you, God, for teaching me how to rest."
Amen.
And man, I can identify with that, and that's such a mature way to look at this.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but I feel like I'm just kind of getting started. Some guys get out of the NFL and they just want to chill. I feel like he's revamped me, whether it's for football or something else. I feel like my life is kind of just restarting over. So I'm super excited for, some things I'm involved with here in the community, and just some kingdom of, stuff that really gets me fired up with the schooling aspect of stuff. And that's why I want to get back into football. My why has definitely changed. It was always to get that second contract and take care of my family. Now it's like, no, let's see what we can do with the platform the NFL provides, and see how good I can get on the field to help with this other stuff that, has all kind of bloomed in the last, I'd say, 2 to 3 years while I've kind of been out, but I've been able to be an intricate part of it and see. So that's, that's my passion. That's why I want to make money and give money to stuff. So that's totally changed as well, which has been fun. And the motivation is like 1,000 times what it is just chasing a second contract.
Well, that tracks right along with what you've talked about since we started this thing, is ride that bike until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. I mean, yeah, go for it. Go for it. As long and as much as you can, so that you can leverage it all for the kingdom of God. I mean, no doubt. What are some of those things that you're involved in that get you excited?
Yeah, so my sister works at a school, and my sister actually lives in our basement. She's always lived here since we moved into this house. But this school called Waterloo Christian, and they just kind of outgrew because they had to turn away about 100 families a year for the last 2-3 years. So they ended up this last winter purchasing my high school where I went, because they built a new high school. So they are going to start K through 12 in there this fall. And, I just started, giving generally to it, and then they didn't have a football team. So I got them a football team and getting involved with that. Like, that's some of the most fun I've ever had. And then they moved in this new building, and they didn't have a weight room, and the Lord opened up this weight room that was going out of business like right before the end of last year. So I was able to get that pennies on the dollar and move that all into the school and set it all up. And like, that's the kind of stuff that I get fired up about and love doing. And just, the hearts and minds of children is really the future of America. I love America. I love what it stands for, and keeping it a certain way with a biblical worldview is extremely important to me. And so between that and then this this group called Inspired Life that my dad helped start. They're kind of more, they do political stuff. They do stuff with parents. They do stuff, down at the state house, and they're starting to help other Midwest states that are interested in getting school choice passed, educational savings accounts passed, just putting the power back in parents' hands, because at the end of the day, it's their kids, it's their tax dollars. Any argument against that is ridiculous. If you just look into it at all and do any sort of research, it's pretty easy and simple to understand. And just the way that it's gone for so long without people knowing it, people are starting to wake up and figure it out. And I get pretty fired up talking about it, because I'm very passionate about it, and that's what gets me going.
Yeah, I actually think that it kind of goes back to the return of the alpha male. I think there's several arenas where over the past, call it 5 years, the enemy overplayed his hand.
Yes.
Like one of it is in all the gender sexuality stuff. He overplayed his hand. People lost their ever-loving minds. Mm-hmm. In the political realm, he overplayed his hands. Also in the school realm, bro. I'm still a big fan of, when Ronald Reagan said the most dangerous thing you could ever hear is this: I'm from the government and I'm here to help. I mean, we can all agree there's issues out there, but if you think, just show me one place where the government took over and it got awesome. It's no bueno. It's interesting you say that. Our church, next year we'll be rolling out a new initiative. And one of the things that we're going to do is partner with there's a bunch of these little up and coming schools, because a bunch of parents are taking it, they're all 1122 parents.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey man, some of them are like, I can't afford some of the private options, and I don't necessarily trust my kid just dropping them off with people that don't have the same kind of values I do. So what are we going to do about it? And, we've got resources and influence around here. We're just going to help fan the flame. We're not going to try to control any of it. I don't want to get in the school business at all. And we just want to partner with people that are talking about the kind of things you're talking about.
Yeah.
To say, hey man, let's go. The primary responsibility of a parent is to disciple your kids. And that also means educationally.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the right kind of partners around you, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, that's what Inspired Life does, is it just partners with people. So if you guys want kind of the rubric, because they're 4 or 5 years in, I can definitely get you connected and talk with them, because they're doing it. They got 4 or 5 people working full time now, because there's just a lot of work to be done. Mm-hmm. And the time is now, got to take advantage of it while we can.
It's so weird, because before we started this, we were just talking about this.
Yeah.
Like literally before we started this podcast, we were just talking about how there's waiting lists at Christian schools.
Yeah.
Right now here locally. And I love one other thing. I love how you just casually said, well, they didn't have a football team, so I got them a football team. Like that's not like you just went and picked up a football team on a Tuesday. That's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. I wasn't able to do a lot of the work, but the Lord provided the coaches, the guys. They didn't even have a football field until they moved into this school. So they'll have their first, home games this year, and just the school spirit that football brings out. Football's done so much for me and my family, and I love the camaraderie. And, you talking about the alpha male, there's nothing really like fighting or football that gets alpha male out of young kids. And a lot of kids are missing that, and time in the weight room and building strength, and all of it can really be tied together. And I think the school having that and what it'll bring just to the school spirit, and the football field's kind of right in the middle of the campus. So, Friday nights are going to be pretty special there. And that's where my son's going to kindergarten next year. So hopefully he's out there in a few years.
That's awesome. What do you feel like in this time away from football that you've had to take? What do you feel you've gained a greater appreciation of about the game of football, about, playing in the NFL or playing on a professional football team?
I would just say how locked in and dedicated all the guys are. I've met with some business people, entrepreneurs, guys that have worked really hard in business, and I have never had a real job. And when you're in a locker room with those guys, like everybody works extremely hard, is super detail oriented. All the good guys, I mean, the guy to make the NFL, you have your outliers that are so physically gifted, it doesn't matter. But I just love being around that mentality and that drive. And so being out of football for about a year, it's just not happening like that very many places. And, I was raised like that. So to go into football, it was not any different for me. It was pretty easy to go to Iowa because it's like, just work hard and you're going to be good. I'm like, okay, that sounds fine. Because my dad, being a pastor from early on, we always did hogs on the side because he was making like 25 grand a year and he wanted my mom to stay home with us. So he was always just working. He grew up on a farm. Both my grandparents are farmers. So just working smart, working hard, putting it together, not working all day just to say that you're working, but just detail oriented. When you're going, you're going. When you're chilling, you're chilling, and getting things done. That's kind of the perspective that I've gained as I've stepped back and been like, man, I love being around that. I want to be around that in a physical manner. But when I'm out of football, I want to find a small group of guys that we can work on stuff and still have that same mentality. And it makes sense why a lot of these companies want to hire former athletes like Stryker. A bunch of my buddies work for Stryker. Or, I'm sure you guys know a few others. But that's when you asked. I've never been asked that question, but that's definitely it.
And you don't think you realized that when you were in it? You just thought that's kind of the way the world worked?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought, everybody's got it figured out. Everybody's grinding. And I think a lot of people work hard. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a whole different level that I'm talking about.
I completely know what you're talking about. And I've told Joby this a million times. That's part of the reason why this podcast was started, is because I was lucky enough to get a glimpse into your world just by what I do for a living, and saw how diligently, how purposeful, how intentful, and how hard these I'm air quoting lucky professional athletes work. And it was one of those things, and I told Joby, it's like, I just want to get this out into the world because it is different. It is different. Everybody assumes something about, like we said, a 6'6", 325-pound guy. But, man, they work and work and work. And the support system they have around them, combined with the way that they work, is what makes all of this happen. And so I'm so glad you said that, because that's one of the first things I told Joby over a year ago when we talked about this was like, I just want to get that out into the universe right now, because I feel like if a lot of people worked with that intent and that intensity, things would be different for them.
Yeah. And you will find groups of people that work with that intensity, but it is not the norm. I mean, it is just not the norm. And it will differentiate you for sure. I mean, when I was in college, I started praying, Lord, don't lighten my load, just broaden my shoulders. And I just don't know how to explain it. I talk to churches all the time, and they're like, we want to do what you do. And I'm like, okay. And we spend a little bit of time together, and then you realize real quick, no, you don't. You want the results, but you are not willing to put in what we put in, And I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to just settle for less. I don't know how to just kind of do something,
Mm-hmm.
And that's been one of the things, because I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to ask you to say it, because you say it all the time. That has been one of the biggest learnings for me in doing this podcast, even though I've known some NFL guys, but the year-round, day-by-day, the workload that it requires is just different. I think there's probably another 200, 300 men in the world that are physically able to compete in the NFL if it was just physical. But they either mentally can't process it fast enough, they don't have the resilience. It's not the strength. A bunch of people can bench 225 35 times or something. Mm-hmm. But it's the resilience to do that thing, not at, first of all, 17 weeks in a row. You get one off.
Yeah.
And then, but all year long to know how to ramp up to be ready for that.
Well, I think you could add 2 zeros to that 200 to 300. There's a lot of guys walking around that size.
Right,
there.
yeah.
But
just different.
To your point, they're not willing to do the other things that it takes. I mean, we all have the stories of wherever you grow up, of that guy that you grew up with going, oh, that guy is going to play in the NFL or Major League Baseball, no doubt about it. And he doesn't.
Because they could get away with it in high school because they could just out-athlete everybody. I'm telling you, man, there's also the amount of churches that have not lived up to the potential that God had in mind for that church because they just got comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, well, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is cool. We got a full room and we can pay the bills. But if I add that extra campus and if I add that extra service, I won't be able to go fishing as much as I want to or whatever their other thing is. I don't know. That's just not how I'm wired.
Do you think, though, that's why – like, I think that's why I love this podcast, too, because you guys are all working for a common goal that has a scoreboard, right? And it has a time limit. You're going to play this game on this date. You're going to play this long, and there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser, right? There's no way around that. I feel that in this church right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that in this podcast right now. I feel that in my life right now where I'm not looking at a scoreboard necessarily, but the clock's ticking.
No doubt.
And, you know, it's our goal to have as many people join us as we possibly can. And I love the thought of there's a bunch of men, women, whatever, just saying, all right, let's go. Let's go right now. And it feels like that's the vibe we have a little bit right now in America right now with this.
Well, what Ike and everybody in the NFL, they have an urgency. Not just the scoreboard to beat the other team, but there's also another dude trying to beat you and take your spot. And then you draft 7 more people every year. Can you imagine 7 more people coming to your work and being like, hey, man, one of them wants your job every year?
And then a dude like this don't even get drafted and he comes in and takes your job.
That's what I'm saying. Like I can imagine my prep, if I knew, like, man, if I don't preach too good, they're going to probably get another one in 2 weeks. I mean, that's different. Well, the Christian life ought to have more urgency than the NFL.
100%.
Yes. I mean, Super Bowl's neat. Hell is hot and forever's a long time. Let's go. Let's get serious about this.
Yep.
I know.
So is that what you hope? I mean, not that exactly, but is that what you kind of hope to recreate through these schools and things like that, is just showing that way?
Yeah. I mean, everything you guys are saying, I 100% agree with. And then just getting a easily replicable model with this school to pass on to other people. So, you know, my sister's in charge of development at the school, and then she teaches a life ready class and an entrepreneurship class. And just to see what the Lord's done with opening the school up, you know, there was a couple bills down at the state house that needed to be passed just to even allow us to purchase the building because it was being held back because they don't want competition. I mean, it's very simple. But like we said at the beginning, the Lord's will is unstoppable. So I really see myself, my family being called into the school realm. Having young kids really woke my dad up to that. When he was a grandpa, his new grandpa, my son's 5. So right after he was born, he asked the teacher, you know, I want to come into a class and hear what you guys are teaching before he gets into kindergarten. And the response was, well, if they let you. And after he heard that, I mean, my dad's a pretty calm guy. That lit a fire under him to really get fired up. That was probably the worst thing anybody could say to him. So he kind of got that inspired life thing rolling with a few other guys. And then just everything with the school. So I just kind of see, you know, step by step, it takes time, but, you know, I would love to make this easily replicable, and they're building it very detailed so that it will be. So moving that pillar of education, I think because I talk to a lot of people my age or, you know, that get so brainwashed in college, and I can't even hardly talk to them. It's like, weather and sports. I'll talk to you about weather and sports because I'm going to offend you and ruin your day if we talk about anything else. Kids, you start talking with kids early, they're getting brainwashed one way or the other. So you might as well teach them what you want. Biblical worldview, real stuff, real science, real math. I mean, it's not complicated. So that's what I'm passionate about and what I would love to see happen.
Well, I'll tell you, the worst person to call for advice on starting a football program is me. Because I did that. I coached at a school. You may not even know this, Joey. I coached at a school that's just starting a football program. Within a year and a half, I had the largest fine in the history of high school football for recruiting.
Because you know everybody.
I didn't then, man. Like if you could walk, I had 14 players. They said, you got to win with 14 players. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm going to go get 40.
Yeah.
It was against the rules, apparently. So that ended quickly. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't, no advice coming from me, my guy. Yeah.
Hey, but I will say, I think part of the reason I'm so partial to football is, I don't know if you know my story. I was led to Christ by a football coach. Not a pastor, not an evangelist, not a missionary, not a minister, but a high school football coach from Dillon, South Carolina. And that guy, he passed away before we ever planted the Church of 1122. And so, bro, I mean, I hope football goes so good for you. I hope you come back. I hope you come to the Jags, help lead us through the Super Bowl, sign a big fat contract, whatever. But ultimately, the only thing that's going to ripple through eternity is what you do for the Lord. And Coach Bull Lee had no idea what hung in the balance when he shared the gospel with me. And now I get to share the gospel with, hundreds of thousands of people every year just because of the faithfulness of one football coach. And he was a good football coach. His last year, they won the state championship in South Carolina. So it wasn't like, well, I can be crappy because I'm a Christian and God loves me anyway. It was the other way. It was like, God loves me. I better be the best there is in this game. So good on you, man. Do it. Go for it. You have no idea. One of those little kids that is going to play for that team that you got started, they're going to get saved through that team. They're going to find their calling through that team. They're going to be missionaries and world changers and that kind of stuff. And God's going to use the sport of football to do it.
Yeah. We're doing a youth camp. We do a youth camp every year. Next weekend, we'll have about 200 kids come to it, called Big Cats. So we have a camp for all the big boys. We got like 8 NFL guys this year. It's going to be pretty fun. But yeah, I love that. I was led to the Lord from my dad, but I had so many other influences along the way. And he prayed for that. He, as the dad, he wanted me to have my own journey and have my own path. And the Lord's provided the right men at the right time to do that for me. And it's been awesome and extremely thankful for it.
Yeah, man. My son, I mean, he became a Christian pretty early, but we talk about Providence football here. It's the Christian school right around the corner from our church, and it's at another church, and we're the 1122 is their biggest supporter. Like we're literally their number one donor. Okay, and my kids go there, and he had godly coaches. You know how great it is for your son to play for godly men, and they're not going to talk trash and. They're about football. All of it. It was Maurice Williams. You remember Mo Williams played the line for the Jags. I mean, he's an all-pro. He's good too. Yeah. His position coach was Donovan Darius. He's like a missile. But these were godly men that love the Lord, and the amount of trust that I could have to put to bring my son to say, all right, guys, you're gonna be spending more time with him for the next 40 years than I will. Don't waste it. So it's a big deal to be a coach.
I'm listening to this, and I could have easily gotten a second contract, and second contracts for offensive linemen are massive, right? And then, a lot of people that get that second contract, can you imagine just at 35 years old being done? Like having all this money and doing what?
Right.
Right? I mean, built for more, right? Like that's what we're talking about. But that to me is, especially listening to this, I'm listening to this guy talk about starting schools and affecting lives. And you don't know, the next Joby Martin could be in your kindergarten class and could lead thousands and thousands and thousands of people to Christ. Imagine just going to football and making a bunch of money and just being done and not doing that. That's sad almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't plan on ever retiring. Maybe when I hit 100, if I make it to triple digits, I'll slow down, but the Lord just will, I see even my grandparents, they get redirected and more fellowship, community stuff. And that just keeps them young and energetic, and they love it. And man, I see a lot of guys retire and they're dead within 2-3 years because they got nothing driving them anymore. So I don't plan on slowing down after football, whenever that is.
Amen. Well said, brother. That's what got you here. And that's what's going to keep you going.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, this, again, flew by. These things, do we need to make these longer? We
I
don't.
don't
We
know.
already got schedule problems.
Well,
they go.
I
they
like
go so
talking.
fast.
I
I know.
like talking to athletes
I know
about
that's
Jesus
the
and football.
problem. Ike, man, I appreciate it, dude. And I'm with Joby. I'm going to second him, man. I either want you here in Jacksonville or protecting one of the quarterbacks that we happen to work with throughout the league. I can't wait to see what's next for you, man. And you are welcome on this thing anytime, man. If we want some in season, we need some in season like football breakdown stuff from some guys going through it too.
Let's go.
I know.
That'd be fun. I got to come down. I'll come down there sometime and meet you guys for sure. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, please do. Come to 1122. Come on. We'll go fishing or hunting or something. We'll do something fun.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Ike
Appreciate you guys
Boettger.
having me on, man.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you. And again, anything you need, give us a shout. We appreciate it. Ike Bucker. Make sure. Where can people go follow you? Where can people support what you're into? What you're trying to do here?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, just at Ike Bucker. The school is called Cedar Ridge in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And then Inspired Life is just inspiredlife.org, I believe. Those are the main few things that I'm involved with right now, and excited to see what the Lord's going to do with them.
Well, I appreciate it. You got anything else, Joe?
Hey, we're praying for your wife. Tell her.
Yes.
Tell her that. All right. Thanks for tell her thank you for letting you be with us for a little while.
Yeah, I will.
It's in the fourth quarter right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys for listening to Bill for More at Bill for More Pod. Denny Thompson, Pastor Joby Martin. Make sure you share. Make sure you tell your friends. We appreciate it.